I've got 2 encounters in Kentucky. When you have one of these encounters, you never forget it. One was down by the Cumberland River. A friend of mine and me were trout fishing in the river, and we weren't doing real good, but there was a little feeder creek coming into the side, and we decided to kind of drift up into this creek a little bit, maybe 50 yards or so, and see if there was any trout coming in. And there was. We caught a few trout, and we were really having a pretty good time for about half an hour, 45 minutes, until the first rock came flying in. And we're in an area that has, clear visible sight 200 yards all the way around you. You know, there's across the river, there's some cornfield or whatever. And on this side, there was the old gravel road that we came down on. But if anybody was there, you would have seen them. But we're sitting there catching a few trout, and in comes the first rock. And it's probably the size of a cantaloupe. A good size, I'd say it was 6-7 pounds of a rock, and it come right in between me and my buddy and hit. And we looked at each other and said, "What the fuck?" And we were just sitting there kind of holding our breath a minute, going, "What did that just fall from the sky? What happened?" So we made some jokes and kind of laughed it off and went back to fishing, made a few casts. Here comes the second rock. And we don't really know where it came from, but I know it wasn't anywhere close, because this thing was coming in hard and fast. And this one hit a little too close. I told Gary, I said, dude, I'm out of here. I said, that we're obviously fishing in somebody's spot. And so we kind of gathered our stuff and we made it back to the truck, and we were just laughing about that the whole way home, going, wow, that had to be a Bigfoot. There was nobody around. This rock came in from far away and was heavy enough that a guy couldn't have thrown it 20 yards at most. Unless you were some kind of Olympic shot putter, you could, but this thing came in from far away. But so that was the encounter on Cumberland River. I'm gonna fast forward a couple of years to the Jefferson Memorial Forest, trail riding on horseback back in some of the Hosklaw Hill trails. Years before this happened, I had noticed the X's in the trees. You see some downed trees that are shaped in an X, and had always joked about it, going, look, there's a Bigfoot sign. And we made little jokes about it, and I'd never seen anything at that time or anything. But now about, 2, 3, 4 years later, I'm on this same trail, cutting back through there with somebody I was riding with, and my horse, who we have several, 1,000 miles on his horse, he comes to this little knoll. First of all, this whole little valley here is it's just like the perfect little valley. Like you should be seeing deer, and you should be seeing squirrels and hearing birds. But when you get down there, there's nothing. It's like void of life. But you're looking around going, God, this is just beautiful. There's a creek, and there's grass in the meadow and tall oak trees, and just everything should be just hopping right here. And it's not. It's just weirdly quiet. And I'd made that comment several times before about how this is, and he's kind of backstepping, and I'm like, whoa, what the hell? Do you see a snake in the path or something? And I finally calmed him down to a stop, and I've got my heels into him, and I'm like, all right, come on, boy, let's go, let's move through it. And he ain't having it. He's just throwing that head and backing up just like he hit a brick wall. So I finally stopped him, and I'm like, what is going on with you? And he's blowing, like they'll do when they see or sense something, or when they're scared. He did a couple of blows, and I'm kind of like, wow, I've never seen him do this before. And he kind of looks up to the right, and I looked up to the right, and about 60 yards, there it was, standing beside or behind a tree. And it was the typical hide and go seek move. Like you see half of him, and then as you look, he ducks back. And I went, holy shit, the hair stood up on my neck, and that was just what was it, a whole second of visual, and I seen it duck behind the tree, and it wasn't humongous. I'm thinking maybe 7 feet tall, and not really scary looking or anything. It was just the realization of what I just seen, and my horse had seen or sensed or smelled all of this before I did, which all of this gave credibility to the fact of what I was witnessing. So I wasn't like really, making this shit up in my head. So I looked at him, and he ducks behind a tree, and then Rio, he's still kind of acting silly. So at this point, and I was the last one in this line of riders, I guess nobody else had seen it. So I grabbed my reins and I popped Rio on the ass and, come on, we got to get out of here. We scoot on around this little bend, and about halfway around this little knoll, he pours on the gas. He's like, I'm getting out of here. And we quickly catch up to the other riders. I didn't say a thing about it. To this day, I haven't said a thing about it to anyone else. Just, how, I don't know if anybody else can relate with this, but as soon as you do, you're kook. I mean, you're whacked. What the hell are you doing making up shit like that? So I never did say anything. But that was a dead end loop trail. So we go up, you hit this little loop, and you have to turn around and come back. Well, coming back, and it's right where all those X's were that I've always said for years. Look, there's a Bigfoot sign. And we're getting back to that spot, and Rio, his ears are up. He's like, he's looking and he's prancing. He's just ready to bolt the whole time going on this one knoll. And I got a hold of him. I'm ready for him to just skirt like a deer jumped out in front of you or something. And we ease on around it. And the whole time I'm scanning, I'm looking. I looked right back at the same tree, and he wasn't there. Didn't see anything again. And Rio didn't alarm again. He just made his little trip around. But you could tell he was on ready to go too. I mean, if there had been anything there, he'd have been hard to hold. And being in the back of the pack and having a little bit of room between the next rider, he just shot up real quick. But so he didn't sense anything coming back, and I didn't see anything. But that was my second encounter of what I know to be a Bigfoot. And I'm not going to make up like, oh, it could have been a man or it could have been anything. I'm not going to do that. It was a freaking Sasquatch, and my horse knew it. And when I seen it, I knew it. And when you have that experience, and then there's people that have seen it, they'll tell you that your life is never the same after that. You suddenly realize that all the little trips you've made through the woods as a kid, as an adult, camping, all that, all of this time, you were in the woods with something a hell of a lot bigger than you, thinking that you were, the alpha predator or whatever. I got my gun with me and I'm safe and all this bullshit. This thing, from the rocks that were thrown at us at Cumberland River to the one I seen in the forest, you're not the biggest critter around. So it's all very humbling. And I'd have to say, me being in outdoors and just loving camping, hunting, fishing, camping under the stars, looking, everything's different now. I still do it, but it's different now. It's a sense of, maybe my 45 isn't big enough. Maybe at any time, if the way they move, they're stealth, they're quiet, they're right there. I don't know if they cloak or shift or whatever they do, why they're so invisible, why they're so hard to see. I just know that they are there, and we're not equipped to deal with it. I mean, they could have had us at any time and 1,000 times, so that's a realization that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And anybody that's seen one will tell you the same thing, that it's a part of your life from now on, that I don't need clarification from anybody else. I mean, I know what I seen. So that I kind of want to go back I want to go back and look for sign or see if, maybe I see something again. But I rode that trail many times, and other than making comments about the X trees and all that, I never seen anything before. But that one time I did, and now, and I haven't been back that trail just because of I moved and some other things. But I can't wait to actually go riding back down that trail again, because I'm going to look hard. I'm going to look for the sign. I'm going to look for it, and just hopefully I see something. So that's it. That's the event that changed my life and my perspective on the whole thing.